This is Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, the viewer's guide to genre television for the weeks of March 22nd to April 4th, 2026.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Wendy Hembrock.
I'm Brent Barrett.
And I'm Kevin Batchelder.
And welcome to April showers, fires, floods, snow, you name it. We're very happy to be back with you talking about sci-fi. If you have missed us and want to talk to some fellow listeners, be sure to join and stop by our Discord channel. There's always people providing their immediate takes from things that they're watching and sharing news and talking about all kinds of cool stuff.
And answering silly polls that I put up for people to answer.
They're not silly. They're entertaining.
And that was the perfect segue because we have a poll that just finished that Brent did talking about video games. And we've been talking about how video games have been one of the sources of some very good genre TV. So this is asking, are you OG and playing video games? And in this poll, we kind of had a tie between those who used to but don't anymore, or who rarely play. About 9% of folks said they play often, 13% said they play daily, and 17% said never. So we have quite an array across the spectrum in terms of what people are doing.
Yeah, and 17% said they play sometimes as well. So I was shocked. Honestly, I wasn't shocked that we had a lot of people who don't play anymore or play rarely. I was shocked that there were actually 4 people who responded saying they've never played video games. You've never gone to an arcade in your life. You've never played a Wii game or Pong or anything at a friend's house. You've never played a single video game in your life. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, it would be surprising to not have any, but maybe they were thinking, online games or current, stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, they might be also thinking about, something you do regularly versus you played it once and it wasn't for you.
Yeah, well, that's what I used to, but I don't do anymore or rarely even just never just blows my mind.
Yeah, never is interesting. So thanks to those who voted in the poll, and come on back for something else interesting that Brent has up his sleeve coming soon. Let's head on over now into the water cooler and catch up.
You like cheap comic books, right? Well, I'm Professor Allen, and I talk about cheap comic books on the Quarter Bin Podcast. In every episode, I'll dissect a single comic from my collection, as long as I paid no more than 25 cents for the issue. Forget about $4 new comics that you can read in 4 minutes, or crossover events that can cost $100 to collect. Join me in the Quarter Bin, where even bad comics are a bargain, and good ones are a steal. The Quarter Bin Podcast is part of the Relatively Geeky Podcast Network. Visit us at relativelygeekypodcast.blogspot.com or search Relatively Geeky or Quarter Bin Podcast in iTunes. I guarantee it'll be worth every penny.
First up in the water cooler are the quick reviews for the shows we suggest you watch now, watch soon, let sit, or skip. And we're covering from March 22nd to April 4th. First up is Ghosts, Season 5, Episode 14, The Water Heater. I enjoyed this. I would give it a watch it soon.
Yeah, I'd say it was an average Ghosts episode, which means it's good, but not great. So I'd say watch it soon as well.
Yep, very solid. Watch it soon.
And next up we have Paradise on Hulu, Season 2, Episode 7, The Final Countdown, and Episode 8, Exodus, which was the season finale. I thought it went out pretty strong, and folks have listened to our later episodes know that I haven't been loving this, but I would give these both a very high watch it soon.
Good to hear, but I'm not watching.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. Looking forward to talking a little bit about this season in the back porch. But for these two, I would go watch it soon and a high watch it soon.
And next up we have Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, Episode 5, Furiosato, and Episode 6 of Season 2, Requiem. I'd give the first one a watch it soon, and the most recent one a high watch it soon.
Yeah, I thought they improved as well, but I'd go with a high watch it soon and then a low watch it now.
Yeah, and I'll match Wendy with a watch it soon, high watch it soon.
And we had a couple more episodes of Invincible, Season 4, Episode 4, Herm, and Episode 5, Give Us a Moment. I'm not watching this.
I'd give them both a high watch it soon. I thought they were pretty good.
Not one that I'm watching.
Okay. And we had the return of Daredevil Born Again, Season 2 on Disney+. Episode 1 was titled The Northern Star. Episode 2 was Shoot the Moon. And Episode 3 was The Scales and the Sword. I think it's a pretty solid start. I would give them all a watch it soon.
Oh, I thought they were increasing I'm sorry. I thought that they had a difference between them. I was telling Kevin before the show, it's a lot like the Netflix series where it's ups and downs. I thought the opening episode this season was a watch it soon. And then it went down to a low watch it soon. But then this most recent one went up to a high watch it soon.
Yeah, I'm almost matching Brent here. I'm going to go watch it soon, very low, watch it soon, and then a high watch it soon.
Yeah, and I think I rated the second one not that much differently because I watched the second one and the third one together. Almost like they were one episode. So let's move on now over to some listener feedback and news. First up, we got a voicemail from Jesse Jackson in Dallas, Texas, talking about For All Mankind.
Hey guys, Jesse Jackson, Dallas, Texas, calling about For All Mankind. I just was listening to the episode, stopped so I could call you guys, discussing about when to watch this. So I want to give you a few hints. Season 1 is a high watch it soon. Starting with a watch it soon gets better toward the end. Season 2 is a watch it now. Then Season 3 is a low watch it soon. And then Season 4, I won't say it's a skip it, but it is not quite where you want it to be. And I haven't watched the first episode of Season 5 yet, but a couple of critics that I really admire are skipping it. So if you are worried about a time crunch, watch the first 2 seasons. And I think you'll see why I love the series. And then maybe decide later to watch 3 or 4. And when I get to 5, I'll let you know whether it's skip it for sure or not.
Hey, thank you, Jesse. Appreciate you kind of recapping the seasons and rating them that way for us. The timing was actually perfect for me. I've got a couple of folks that I know that do a great job with doing reactions on YouTube. And they were looking for sci-fi-ish shows, recommendations, and they were thinking about jumping into For All Mankind right at the start of Season 5, knowing they haven't seen it and all. And I kind of like, a good friend of mine thinks that's probably not a good idea. Go back to the beginning and see if you want to keep going. So thank you for sharing that. We've talked about here how we're not watching it, and it's a lot to try to, cover with that many episodes. But with your information, got to say, I think I'm a little more likely maybe to give it a shot, at least Season 1, now that you described it that way. So we appreciate your messages.
Yeah, Jesse, we asked, you answered. We appreciate that. I especially appreciate that you rated the seasons. And for me, it's kind of a little less daunting to think, probably only the first 2 are going to be ones I want to watch. It also concerns me a little bit that you're telling me the later ones are not that great. But I have to say it went up on my radar this week after the Artemis excitement. I was like, maybe I need to bump this up. But so I appreciate your feedback a lot. I think I'll take a page from Kevin and maybe try season 1 and then see where I stand.
Yeah, that is an interesting little summary there, Jesse. Appreciate that. I'm probably gonna be with Wendy and stick to real life Artemis 2 stuff and watch them instead. But yeah, that's interesting to hear. I had always just assumed you just loved every season of it, but to hear that there were some seasons that weren't so great is good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and we also asked for comments and thoughts about Paradise, which we discussed on the last show, and Jesse shared some thoughts on that.
As always, love the discussion. I wanted to chime in on Paradise, and I definitely agree this series is genre light, though I am convinced they're building towards some kind of time travel subject. I haven't seen the finale yet, but I'm up to next to last episode, and every time, there's nosebleeds, and I think that's a sign of something. But anyway, Dan Fogelman has always loved non-linear storytelling, and, especially like This Is Us, and you buy the premise, you buy the bit. When you watch a Fogelman show, you know exactly what kind of emotional swings and especially narrative swings you're signing up for. Some of us like it, some of us don't. I really enjoyed the season. I binged episodes 1 through 7, and I'm watching the finale tonight, as I said, and everything Wendy and Kevin pointed out is totally true. But to me, and only me, those are features, not bugs. I love those quirks and the story choices and learning these new people and the backstories. Brent, I totally get why this is one you're going to pass on, and I totally get it, and I actually echo, I don't think this is your kind of show at all, even if they do throw in time travel. But for me, it's been a really fun binge on my end. So as always, thank you guys for keeping us company as we are going through our genre shows, and looking forward to hearing what you guys think about other new stuff coming. So thanks as always. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Jesse, and thanks for that reminder about the showrunner, because as soon as you said, This Is Us, I was like, okay. Yeah, I don't sign up for those features. So I watched This Is Us in the beginning, and then I got bored of the format because it, for me, was overworked after a while. So that is some interesting reminder about the showrunner and why some of the things that I found frustrating, you found quite enjoyable. So, and I love the comment about time travel, especially as this was before you saw the finale. I'm not going to say anything more here, but I'm sure we'll discuss that in the back porch. And thanks again for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. So, I watched, as you know, the first episode of the first season and kind of said, nah, this isn't really for me. Gave up on it. But from what you said and what my co-hosts have been saying, I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to throw in episode 8 and watch it. And that's the only thing I'm going to watch, and I'll see how it goes.
Interesting, Brent. Yeah, going to be curious to hear. Now, running through the episode in my head a little bit. Yeah, let us know. Let us know. We're going to talk a little bit in the back porch, the spoiler area, Wendy and I, certainly about this season and the closing episodes. And I know there were a couple of other folks on our Discord who were similar to you that, yeah, there's some issues here, but they still enjoyed the idea of, and it's Kevin's phrase, wandering storytelling is what I thought in season 2. We brought in all these other characters we had never seen before and tried to tie it all back together. And I get it. If you like this type of storytelling, again, it is good actors, and I'm not saying it's bad scripts, but that's not, since it's genre light, that's not what I was looking for. So that's where I was disappointed up until the last couple, which I thought were at least interesting. So I'm going to be here to start out with season 3. As long as they don't do another wandering story, since that's going to be the last season, I'll probably stick with it because I am interested for some of those reasons you mentioned with what we had for genre initially. and what they're kind of teasing. So, this is, like we kind of said, it'll appeal to certain people. So we shall see.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And I can't wait to hear Brent's thoughts after watching the finale of season 2. So we were just talking about For All Mankind with Jesse's feedback, and Brent's got a little bit more news about what's coming up for it.
Yeah, the good news is, or bad news, depending on how you look at it, For All Mankind is going to end in season 6. I say good news because that's what the showrunners expected and want. They believe they can complete their story. This is the storyline they had laid out. They're going to be fine with it ending in season 6. Season 5 just started streaming, but now they know that, and all of the fans of the show know that For All Mankind is going to end after season 6. So, I mean, what more can you ask for? 6 seasons of a show if you're a fan of the show, and the showrunner's happy because it's going to let them tell their whole story. Sounds like a great thing to me.
Yeah, totally agree with you there, Brent. Again, 6 seasons in the last, 5 or 10 years is pretty amazing for a genre show to get that, and to get it on a timeline that the showrunners are comfortable with. Big, big thumbs up there. So that's good to see. And as we've been talking, I think I'm going to dip in the For All Mankind pool at least and try to get to season 1 sometime soon. So good to hear. And for those that are fans, it's wonderful to know when you've got an end coming and that a show will be written to it.
Yeah, especially in light of what Jesse was saying about some people are maybe tepid on season 5. Maybe knowing that season 6 is the end might either keep them motivated to move on through season 5 to get to a satisfying ending in 6. That is an accomplishment for any show these days, to get that many seasons, especially on its streaming channel. So that's good news. And next up, Kevin's got some news about Star Trek Starfleet Academy.
I do, and in the same vein of kind of talking about some things that will be ending, ta-da, the next upcoming season, season 2 for Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which we knew was coming, has already been filmed. They finished filming it. But that will be the final season, it was announced. Surprised a bit, certainly. But based on the up and down nature of the reviews and fan feedback, and certainly discussions here on the podcast and in our Discord, not a shocker. So, yeah, just announced that when that season comes, they haven't told us that yet. It will be the end for this series. Couple of notes from the article and kind of food for thought maybe to step back on. It was noted that this season, the first season for this show, in none of the weeks when it was airing did it make the Nielsen top 10 for streaming. For a Star Trek show, kind of writing on the wall kind of thing, not drawing a big enough audience maybe. So take that for what it's worth. The other interesting note, which I kind of didn't realize till I kind of stepped back and saw it, was they mentioned, so now at this point, we are now at a time when there is no Star Trek series in development there, which is the first time in how many years for at Paramount? Quite a few. So I don't know whether it's going to be time for them to step back from the Star Trek IP as far as TV shows goes, maybe for a little bit. Maybe too much of a good thing. We still got a couple of seasons of Strange New Worlds to air, but they're all shot, things are done, nothing's in production. So, well.
Well, that's interesting. I thought we're going to get a comedy show that was coming out of the folks related to Lower Decks.
Yeah, I heard that too. I don't know if that's been canceled.
Yeah, I think that was
got canceled.
Mentioned in the article. I'm not sure if that means it's already been shot and therefore technically it's not active until they decide where to go. But I did see a mention of that in the article.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't read through the whole thing. I'm not surprised it's ending. I mean, we talked about, from my perspective, how uneven it was. So it doesn't surprise me it struggled to find an audience, which is too bad. We talked a lot about it. It wasn't the actors. For me, it really was the writing and kind of what they chose to focus on. I'd be curious, actually, I might do this out of my own curiosity, to go back and see who wrote the episodes that I really liked, and think about that a little bit. to me, it really felt like they had a basic premise for the Holly Hunter character, for Caleb, who was like her foster kid, and the story of the mother and the nemesis. And that was kind of it. And for me, that was not a new story in and of itself. And what they chose to do as the fill-in between was my challenge, where it was very uneven for me. But we're going to get a season 2, and hopefully they'll wrap things up, and maybe we'll get a few gems at a minimum out of season 2.
Yeah, I'm of real mixed thoughts and emotions on this one because, first of all, I got to say up front, if anybody is a fan of the show, I feel bad for them. You know, that the show is going away after 2 seasons. I know that there's with Star Trek usually a promise of more. Like 5, 6, 7 seasons is usually what you expect with Star Trek shows. So I feel bad for them. But part of me is also kind of, in a weird sense, and stick with me here, kind of pleased that it ended after 2 seasons. And the reason I say that is because, in my view, this is just me being selfish. This is not what I want my Star Trek to be. I don't want this kind of storytelling. I don't want this format. I don't want, this sort of focus in the writing and so forth. So for me, it's a good thing because for me, it says it's telling the powers that be, this isn't what people want for Star Trek. So again, I'm being selfish by saying that this cancellation is good news for me with regard to Star Trek, the Star Trek universe. And also, of course, anybody who happens to maybe agree with me, you want to make sure you definitely watch Strange New Worlds when it comes out, the final seasons, and watch it very soon so that they can tell that that's the Star Trek you do want, in your Star Trek universe. So, yeah, it's tough. It really is tough. And like I said, I really do genuinely feel bad for the people who love the show, and I know there are some out there who have it canceling. That really does suck. I know exactly what that feels like, absolutely, and it is not a good feeling.
I'm also wondering, because they're immediately going into the production, was maybe they were thinking about it, unlike what I thought, like we need to really knock season 1 out of the park. Maybe they thought they had the luxury of 2 seasons to figure things out. But again, I'll be optimistic and, I probably will at least start to watch season 2.
Yeah, this day and age, everybody in streaming's got to know you don't have 2 seasons to figure something out. You've got 2 episodes to figure something out.
I would hope so. So let's move on to some happier news about some renewals. First up, I can share that School Spirits, which is a show that really was kind of a hidden gem for a lot of us, has been renewed for season 4. And there's no details in here, but season 3 ended on a cliffhanger and definitely want to see where things go next. So it's a nice relief to know that we are getting a season 4 confirmed. If you check out the show notes, you'll also see in this article the showrunners actually sharing the news of the renewal with some of the cast, which is fun to see. There's no real details in the article, though, about, episode count or when things are going to go back into production or anything like that. But I'm guessing it's probably going to be a year away. But this is good news. We talked about how much longer there is to build out this story. It wouldn't surprise me if season 4 at least concludes the story we're in. And who knows where we go from there.
Yeah, this is really good news. Each season, the premise, the setup for the universe is the same pretty much. Every season's been a little different. Every season's changed the rules and gone a little differently in a different direction with the story. So I'm looking forward to where they go the next one. Like you said, not only did it end with a cliffhanger, but it ended with another, big change in the rules of the universe in the show. And I'm really kind of personally more excited to see where that goes. The change in the rules than the cliffhanger resolution, because we don't know that the cliffhanger will resolve well, but we have good confidence that our group of heroes, some might call them the Scooby Gang, can figure this stuff out and come to a good resolution. So I'm happy. I'm very pleased that it's got another season, because it is like I said, kind of a sleeper, but it's a good show. It doesn't have a lot of flash. but it's got a lot of substance.
Yes, that's a great way to put it, Brent. There's a lot of substance, and we even touched on the fact that we didn't talk about a lot of the individual episodes as they were airing. Not from a situation of not liking it, but it was, in my opinion, certainly very consistent through the entire season. It wasn't like quality up or down that can either annoy you or maybe makes you definitely want to talk about a specific scene. They did a great job building the story, the character relationships, being bold with their storytelling, as you said, going some new avenues. So yeah, I'm very excited that we're going to get another season, and man, they just keep doing that. It's definitely one of the shows I was most looking forward to each week when it was airing.
Yeah, similar to me, Kevin. I was definitely looking forward to whenever the new episode was coming out. I also think it was probably the best season of the show so far. It was very consistent. It's kind of the polar opposite of the show we were just talking about, Starfleet Academy, where it's like, what are they going to throw at us this week? It was, the characters were consistent. The focus of the story was consistent. They threw in all kinds of twists, and it was not a predictable story at all, but it was definitely a world that I understood. So moving on, we also have some news out of our Disney Marvel universe that Brent is going to share.
Yeah, tuning into Sci-Fi TV Marvel representative here. Wonder Man is a show that we talked about briefly when it premiered on Disney Plus earlier in the year. In a not so common move, Disney Marvel has decided to order a second season. And I say not so common move because if you note if you look at all of the history of the Marvel shows on Disney Plus, not a lot of them got a second season. So it's not that common, but they ordered a second season of Wonder Man. I think that's a good move. I did enjoy the show. I think it was a little kind of slow in the beginning, but it was an interesting and fascinating world and characters, and it ended very, very dramatically. So I am very curious where they're going to take the second season of Wonder Man, given the conclusion of season 1. But I'm along for the ride on that one. I'll definitely be checking it out. The first season cast and crew are back, and there is no word on when season 2 will premiere. But if Disney Marvel's giving it the blessing, it's coming.
Yeah, this was a show that I had some interest in, but was kind of busy when it came out, and I haven't watched season 1. Not that I didn't want to, just other things were higher in the priority. So now that I know there's a season 2 coming, I definitely think I will make the time between now and whenever that is to give it a watch, because both here on the podcast, in our Discord, and just in general, my social circles were very positive comments about this series. So good that there's going to be another season coming.
Yeah, I enjoyed season 1. I'm glad that we're going to get some more. For me, it was a little bit slow in the beginning, but I really like the two main characters. I like the story. I like the tone. So I'm definitely happy that we're going to get more. And now Kevin's got some news out of the, I want to say this is the Vampire and Witch universe. That, may not be so great.
Yeah, we're talking specifically about Talamasca, the Secret Order. And it was announced that this specific series is not being renewed beyond its first season, which was only like 6 episodes. I didn't watch it. I haven't watched the other shows in this universe, which are, according to the article, referred to as the, do my air quotes, folks, the Anne Rice Immortal Universe. So, and as Wendy said, there are other series running in this that are still going. I think both of them on like 3 seasons so far. So this is the first one of the Anne Rice universe shows that will not be continuing past its first season. So it's the first time AMC has chosen to cancel one of these. But, if you're a fan, I know it's got to be a bummer.
Yeah, I remember talking about this when it came out, and I'd love to hear from any listeners who did watch it or who are continuing in the other shows in this, I'll say, this universe, Interview with the Vampire, and Vampire Lestat. You can run thin on things. I think one thing that folks who have been enjoying this series might at least take a little heart in is in the article they say, some of these characters are going to show up potentially in, future components of the franchise, which is always positive if there's certain characters folks really liked. It's tough to see things end, but I'm glad that they tried it.
Yeah, I remember talking about this as well. And while we did go through a rash of these sort of secret order sort of TV shows in several years back, we had a whole bunch of them. I do recall when we talked about this one thinking to myself, well, it's been a few years since we've had one, and I did enjoy them. So, I might check it out, but I guess it's too late. AMC is a little difficult for me to get the hang of or get on these days too, because I don't have the AMC Plus. I do have AMC, but not as part of, I don't think I have it on my Hulu, so I don't even have the AMC straight up, the regular channel. So it's real hard to find this stuff. So, I wonder if that plays any part in it, because anybody with Hulu Live like I do, Hulu Live plus DVR in my case, AMC is not part of that package. At least it wasn't when I last checked. So that makes it harder for those folks to check that show out.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. The availability of things, and that I don't even know if any of the AMC shows ever sort of, I'll say, roll over into Amazon Prime or Netflix at a certain point to kind of build the audience further. Well, one show and franchise that has an audience is Harry Potter, and HBO is going back to the well to turn all those movies into a whole bunch of TV episodes. We've talked about Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which is an adaptation of the first book. We have a link in the show notes to the teaser for it. I read these books. I watched all the movies. I probably watched and read the first Harry Potter movie at least 3 or 4 times. It looks very faithful to the original book. Got some great actors cast in it. John Lithgow is playing Dumbledore. And so check it out.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm a total Harry Potter neophyte. I've never read the books. I'm pretty sure I watched the entire first movie when it came out, but I don't remember a lot of it. I remember big points. And I think I watched some or all of the second movie, and that's about it. But I never really kept up with the movies. Never read the book. So to me, this is kind of a fresh thing. And if what I'm hearing is correct, that this one might be a little more loyal to the books, whereas the movies were kind of took some liberties. Maybe this is something I check out. I don't know what their target audience is. It looks like it might be a young adult thing, but young adult things have been really good in our experience on the streaming services. So come Christmas of this year, when it looks like it's going to premiere, I think I might check it out and see if this is something that I can come back to, week to week or whatever, to get my Harry Potter knowledge filled up, because right now it's pretty bare.
Yeah, I'm no experience with the books, but I do believe I watched all the movies, or almost all of them. But also, Harry Potter was never something like I got big into or got excited about. I watched it. The teaser looks fine. I can't say it's going to come down to what else is on my viewing calendar. This is one of those shows, not in a bad way, where it's like, I might like this. I might check it out. Or if I find myself swamped with a little time, maybe I don't. So I'm kind of on the fence. But then again, this is our first teaser. I'm sure I'll be checking out more trailers and other stuff. So I guess time will tell for me.
Yeah, I read the books, and like I said, my nephew and I, every time a new book would come out, that was kind of our thing, was to go find where we were going to buy our book from and start reading. The books are darker than the movies, especially the first book. And, they're not quite as happy. I know we're having an interesting conversation in our Discord about this. And I will say this teaser it did indicate some of the darkness and challenges that Harry is going through. it also didn't tell me that we're going that much further with anything else. There was, I don't know that I need to see a whole TV series of the first book. I don't know that I need that much time, but maybe I do. So I'm keeping an open mind. The teaser was very positive for me. I'll be looking forward to a proper trailer at some point. And we'll kind of go from there. So let's move on to another interesting trailer folks might be looking forward to that Brent is going to talk about.
Yeah, another big universe, the Stranger Things universe. It's a trailer, an official trailer for Stranger Things Tales from '85. This is set in the winter of 1985, based on the snow on the road in the trailer. But it's new monsters, new allies, but kind of the same old Stranger Things. So we've got the kids as kids on their bikes going through the neighborhood, so they're not all grown up driving around, going cross country like they did in the last couple of seasons of the show. And it looks like it's some fun adventures. As we learned before, very few, if any, people who were in the show returned to voice their characters in this animated adventure. But and this is animated. I may not have said that before. But it's going to premiere April 23rd, so it's kind of right around the corner here on Netflix. And I think I will check it out.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards not, or waiting to hear from folks like you or others who might watch it. Again, any longtime listener knows animated is not my favorite spot to go, but I love Stranger Things and these characters. So, not saying I won't watch it. I'm saying I'm probably going to kind of sit on the sideline for a bit to see what others say.
Yeah, I'm leaning a little bit more in the Kevin spectrum, not because of the anime, but just because I hope it isn't too much of what we do on our day off that isn't Stranger Things. Because that was kind of what the trailer was showing me, and it's like, yeah, I'd rather just jump into the story, and maybe they will just jump right into the story. The big plus I give to him is using A Flock of Seagulls, is the music. Maybe they'll get a bump similar to Kate Bush. But I might wait until I hear what Brent thinks about an episode or two before I dive in.
Yeah, I wonder how Netflix is going to release it. We didn't catch that, if it's going to be released all at once. So it's definitely something I will mainline, but otherwise, yeah, I'll have to check it out week to week.
So moving on, Kevin is going to school us on something called Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yes, this is something that's interesting, folks. And there have been times in the past where there have been content I've seen before it comes to TV that have bombed horribly. But Dungeon Crawler Carl is a book series, if you are not familiar. It's being developed now into a TV series. It's actually, link in the show notes, let you know it's being developed at Peacock. Seth MacFarlane's company is doing the executive producing on it. This is a book series that's written by Matt Dinniman. 7 of the books have been released so far. He said he's planning 10, so it's a pretty rich universe of content. The style of this is what is known as lit RPG. If you don't know, that's literary role-playing game, meaning in the book series, and I've read the first book, there are power-ups and things that kind of allude to video games as our characters move through in this universe. And the best way to describe this, I'll give you a few sentences that are from the press release, because it really does help to kind of give you the scope of what we're talking about here. So let me read here. Bear with me here. Quote, "An alien invasion has wiped out most of humanity, and any survivors are forced to fight for their lives on a sadistic intergalactic game show." All right, sounds bad enough. Well, how about trying to do it when you're in your bare feet, our main character, and you have a stuck-up, self-centered, tiara-wearing talking cat as your partner? Welcome to Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's some crazy stuff. It's got some humor in it. It's got, like I said, just nutty things going left and right. They're trying to survive in this world. It's underground, basically, from what the aliens have done to Earth is push everything down. They're going from level to level. You got to make it to an exit from each level or you die. There's a whole ton of other survivors. So you're not just against the aliens and the monsters and AI. You're up against other human survivors to try to do this. And it's all being done, as they say in the article, for the sake of good TV. Survival, optional. Entertainment is not. So it's some crazy stuff. I enjoyed the first book. I wouldn't say I loved it, but it had me entertained, and it's something I'll probably go back to. But I think this was definitely one, as I was reading, that I said, this could be a really fun TV show.
So, Kevin, the tiara-wearing cat had me intrigued, and then when I read the name of the cat, which is Princess Donut, the Queen Anne Chunk, I was
Exactly.
like, oh, that is like Sir Jizzlord level weird bonkers awesomeness, potentially. So I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah, this might be just zany enough to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to trying it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a case of where it comes down to, can they capture that craziness, totally off the wall, this makes no sense and I'm laughing my butt off kind of approach to things. It's a challenge. And the author of the book series is one of the producers on the show, so he'll have some hands in it. And he was mentioning in a quote in the article, which will make sense if you're a fan of this content, that some of the fans of the books are concerned because they had kind of hoped it would be animated. Because, a lot of the crazy stuff that's going to be happening is going to be hard to put on screen, even with great CGI and things nowadays. So, but the author was saying, no, we've talked to Seth MacFarlane's team. We got an idea how we can do certain things that way. So this is one where you got to cast the right lead. And you got to do a great job with the CGI. And also, as Wendy was chatting about the attitude of the cat, you got to hit the right voice actor to make that work. So, but this will be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, and if Seth MacFarlane, the king of primetime animation, says it doesn't need to be animated, he probably knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more about how this develops. We were talking about the Harry Potter series coming to HBO Max, and not unsurprisingly, they're doing a behind-the-scenes special. So for those of you who are definitely all in, the making of the Harry Potter series is actually going to premiere. Probably it'll be out by the time you hear this podcast. And it's called Finding Harry, the Craft Behind the Magic special. The little trailer for it is in this article that we'll share a link to. And, the excitement of the participants definitely comes across, as well as the production value. And if you are a person who likes, the behind the scenes looks, definitely worth checking out, probably.
Yeah, like I said, I'm interested in the series, so I think I will check it out when it premieres. I'm checking out the trailer now. Thank you.
Yep, let's face it, networks have gotten smart in terms of let's give lots of early content, BTS, behind-the-scenes things to get those who do have an interest or you want to spark that interest, so this is good for them.
Indeed. So we are going to wrap up the water cooler with a tuner minute. I recorded this week's. It's titled That One Perfect Season. I read an article recently, clickbait really, positing what were some of the sci-fi TV series that had every season perfect. And I don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is what is the one perfect season of any show that really stands out to you, no matter what happened later or before. For you, are there TV series that are redeemed because they did have that one perfect season?
Oh, Wendy, I'm thinking, I can't think of a show that was redeemed because it had one perfect season. Jesse Jackson might say, the one on Apple TV, For All Mankind. It did occur to me that I have a number of shows where I actually, while I think the whole series was fine as it is, or I loved it as it is, there was one perfect season in it. And one that comes to my mind, of course, is Farscape Season 3. There's a lot of those. I can't think of one that I think would be redeemed by a perfect season, though. Because I think any show don't worry about that. I think what I really meant was
it's worth watching just for that one perfect season.
Yeah. Well, definitely Farscape's worth watching. For all the seasons, but season 3 is the best. And season to say there's some sort of season 3 theme here, because season 3 of Babylon 5 is also the same way, in my opinion. Also, really the best, the diamond of that show, of that season. But something that's worth watching, I still can't even think of that. And the reason is, what I was going to say was, I don't watch multiple seasons of a show that I don't care about, or that I don't think are great. Typically I don't. So I never stay around long enough to know if there's a season that either redeems it or that makes it worth watching. In general, like if there's a show that I stick around with that doesn't have a stellar season, I can't really recommend a particular season, but I could tell people, hey, watch it because it's a good show. The comedy Ghosts, where it's on right now on CBS. I would recommend, it's CBS, right? Yeah, I would recommend people watch that. I don't think there's any like season that I think stands out or that, is worth telling people to watch it because of that. But, yeah, it's a hard one. Regardless of whether you're asking the question of redemption or you're asking the question of the best season or a season that makes a show worth watching, for someone, I can't think of examples. I'd have to really sit down and start thinking about that. Maybe I'll post them on the Discord after I come up with some ideas.
I mean, as close to perfect as a season can be for a show. I mean, it obviously makes it tough with anything that's older, 20 some odd episodes. It's almost impossible, in my mind, to have been perfect that way. So that kind of puts us more in the current realm. And season 1 of Arcane is pretty damn close to perfect. That'll certainly pull folks in right from the get-go. Can we qualify Firefly with only a single season? But that one's certainly damn near perfect to get folks to watch. As Brent mentioned, Farscape, season 3. I mean, it's funny. Where my mind went was kind of the opposite of what you brought out, Wendy, for some reason. And I start thinking about shows like Buffy, where season 1 is horribly rough. And you have to apologize to get people to watch it sometimes, because you do have much more close to perfect later on. So it's an interesting thought. I think that needs a little more research to truly give good answers beyond a couple that just popped into mind.
Yeah, and for me, it's almost like that season alone stands out. So it's not necessarily perfect from, I don't know, some objective level, but in your mind, it's perfect. Either because it was the epitome of the show, and I think Brent's example of Farscape season 3, I really do think that was the best writing, the best character development, the almost the zenith of the story, or it was approaching that at that point. That was the perfect season of Farscape. I think Supernatural season 4, the one where Dean comes back from hell and they introduce the angels, and that really sent the show in a whole nother trajectory. To me, that's probably one of the I don't know if I probably would call it perfect. I don't really think there's any duds, or maybe 1 or 2, and that was a long 22 episodes. I think I could go back and find a lost season that I might call the perfect one before it went meandering. And I bet I could find one about Fringe too. So this was more just to stir the gears for folks. I totally understand that it's one you have to think about a little bit, if things don't immediately pop to mind. But I'd be curious to hear what folks think.
It's a good question, Wendy.
And it's interesting too, see, Fringe, and this can be its own rabbit hole, maybe another 2 in a minute. Whenever I think about Fringe, and when someone asks about it, for me, I just remember that as being one of those shows, a little bit like we talked about for School Spirits with most recent season, where it was just the level of quality storytelling acting was just consistently there throughout its run. Like some shows I can look at and say, oh, well, that season was definitely better than this one, or I like that one a lot better, or that thing did or didn't work. When I think about Fringe, there is just consistent, entertaining, engaging throughout. And that's rare for me.
Yep. I hear you. It's bounced back onto my rewatch soon list.
Once Upon a Time had some good seasons and some bad seasons.
Oh, yep. That's a good example,
Yeah,
too.
that's, see, there's one that I definitely think of as very much up and down.
All right. Well, we'll let folks think about that, and we're going to head on over into the back porch.
Today we talk about Paradise and Daredevil Born Again.
So first, Kevin is going to lead off the discussion of Paradise, the last 2 episodes going into the finale.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk a little bit, as we did a little earlier, Wendy and I, just kind of as the season as a whole, too. I mean, she and I think some others I've definitely seen in social circles. The last couple of episodes, much more on track with what we enjoyed from season 1. Very engaging, very interesting, conflict, characters making tough choices, some life or death situations that made it entertaining for me, much more so than the earlier episodes. I respect everyone who greatly enjoyed the newer characters and an episode about the mailman and an episode just at Graceland and those other things. Just wasn't what I was looking for in my entertainment, even when done well and acted well. So to me, there was a lot of wandering and fast forward. But the last couple we're doing pretty good. We're bringing everybody back. We get X to get back inside the bunker, try to get, he came together with his wife finally. Here at the end of the season, they were able to get in, get the kids, with some peril going on, and the bunker very much eventually, as we get to the end of the season, blowing up. But as Jesse pointed out in his voicemail, and as we saw, you've got key characters suddenly having nosebleeds, getting dizzy when they get near each other. You've got that thing that is often used, from time travel points of view. You've got Sinatra talking about the fact her son is alive now, only, he was dead in this timeline for all we knew. So maybe that's multiple timelines or nonlinear storytelling. So there's some nice little breadcrumbs to go, I want to see how they finish this out come season 3. So, like I say, they did a good job, I thought. It fit the story, but I was disappointed that we lost Sinatra. I mean, that's a very strong character that, almost mustache twirling, the perception from some of the folks, but not really the case. So that was, well done from, I thought, storytelling point of view, and an excellent job from the actor doing that. So, I think they really did a good job of redeeming me. If the last couple of episodes had kept just wandering crap and had us with some odd cliffhanger, I might not have come back for season 3. But I don't want to say they, righted the ship or something. They had their plan. But as far as this person with a genre light show, until those little tidbits, they kind of snapped me at least back to being engaged and interested.
Yeah, when we talked last time, Xavier had found his wife, but now he was going to try to, he was getting duped by the mailman character, and I was complaining that it was reminding me a lot of The Walking Dead. So I was very glad that we quickly resolved that whole stuff. And, we got Xavier and his wife and the gang headed to Colorado very quickly, and pivoting to, this, I don't know if it's the real story or the underlying story because of the ripple effects of time travel, or timelines. But we find out that, there's this supercomputer Alex that Sinatra's son Dylan, who is the baby daddy of the woman whose name I forget, but was living in Graceland, and the baby that Xavier took on to save and bring back to his father, is also this brilliant guy who helped build this AI. And that's actually why he's come, which it seemed when we originally were hearing from him that he was on a different kind of a mission. So that was all very interesting. I was also pleasantly surprised that Jane got taken out. And by whom? By the therapist. And I do think Sinatra, did the right thing, which required a big sacrifice. And, in some ways she needed to do as big a sacrifice as that for all the things that she had done up to that point. So, I'm very intrigued by the idea that we have a second underground city where we have an AI that in some ways reminds me of Westworld in terms of its capabilities. And, Xavier's a key part of it because he has the key that was waiting only for him. And we will see what happens next.
Well, a couple of things, too, because the other thing, along with some Westworld vibes, only a little bit, I definitely had some person of interest flashes when it came to that AI. Because, it could tell Sinatra was going to die, and it knew, Xavier X, as I call him, was the one who needs the key. So there's some of that there. And I'm not sure if I liked the bit with Jane. The therapist appeared to kill her there in the shower. But then we got a scene in the finale where we get a view of that shower with the water still running, and she's not there. As if she, the stab wounds were just a flesh wound or something. So I don't know if that's dealing with time travel or they just decided not to kill her off because she is a very interesting psycho. So can definitely throw a monkey wrench if she's going to be back in season 3.
Yeah, and I was really similar to what you're talking about. I didn't watch Person of Interest consistently, but that was the Westworld vibe. It wasn't anything about, robot humans or anything like that. It was the capability of the supercomputer. Yeah, I was assuming when she wasn't in the shower anymore, I was like, oh, did somebody come and clean it up and she's just in shock but if time travel's happening, maybe she got eliminated from the timeline in some other way. But it sure seemed like the psychiatrist was still feeling guilty because even later on she walked, when she was in the control room, I think she talked about why she had blood all over her was that she had killed Jane. I think she said that to Sinatra. So I hope she's not secretly alive. That would actually kind of annoy me. But, I had talked about how I was like, yeah, they need to really do something in this wrap up. And they did. I think they did enough in terms of turning the ship that I'm definitely going to come back for season 3. Also knowing that season 3 is the end, or at least the planned end to this story, has me interested. But as we talked about earlier, Jesse's comments about The Last of Us made a lot of sense for I'll call it meandering, the side trips. I'm guessing we're still going to have some of those in season 3, but hopefully fewer.
Yeah, if we're getting some wanderers, as I call them, then I will be leaning on the fast forward button, especially knowing it's the final season. But hey, let's see what they bring to the screen, because there is enough here that even though it's genre light, it can be interesting. It can be interesting.
Oh yeah, it definitely. It's just what my tolerance is for it, and they did at least tie the Graceland story back with uniting Dylan with his baby, especially if it turned out that he's actually Sinatra's son, so she has some legacy as well. I mean, she already did. She has a daughter, but just even more. Okay, well, let's move on to talk about Daredevil. And I really just wanted to get your all sense of the story they're setting up so far and how we're liking how this thing's taken off. I love that we have Karen back. I'm very worried about their relationship, of course. She's a darker character with her training, her definitely wanting justice for Foggy, if not some retribution, I'll say. But we definitely see her willing to mix it up, shoot it up in the most recent episode. I'm not sure I love some of the story elements they've chosen. Fisk training to be a boxer for some boxing match that's coming up. That just seems very odd for the mayor to be doing that. The action, I think, has been very consistent. Definitely the same level as Daredevil in the original series in terms of some of the choreography and what Matt's doing as Daredevil. I like his new version of his suit. I'm not sure about some of the other side characters that we have in the story. The one to me that's the most interesting is I can't remember, she's the daughter or the granddaughter of the newspaper guy, Ben, who is making these weird parody videos. Excuse me. She's also getting inside information from I'll say, chosen son of Fisk, who is one of those, I'll call him fail upward guys. He is not that good at his job. He's being helped by the reporter to be better at his job, and he's leaking information, and for some reason Fisk thinks he's brilliant. He was brilliant in the beginning, season 1. He was helpful. I'm not sure if he is anymore. The story about the horrible things that they're doing related to this Northern Star ship and what that whole story is going to turn out to be with the human trafficking and stuff. I'm not sure I'm all that interested in the story yet, but I'm going to be open-minded about it. So I'm enjoying it. I'm not riveted by it.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up. I was mentioning before in the show that it reminds me a lot of the Netflix style or pattern so far. I think season 1 did as well, where it starts out with something impressive, which would be the North Star, the fight there, and then the sinking of the North Star. And then it kind of slows down, which it did, and then it peaks up a little bit and has something interesting that gets you go, oh, well, that's cool, in another episode. And then it gets slow again for another episode, and then it'll eventually wrap up the season with some really kick-ass episodes. And that kind of annoys me. I really want a steady paced. Give me the story, pace it out at a steady pace. Don't pause for entire episodes to give me character reflections and stuff, which this show tends to do a lot. But I am enjoying it. I'm definitely not complaining about that I can't watch it. I'm complaining about it, but I'm not complaining that I can't watch it. I've enjoyed the show. I like the final episode that we've gotten so far, the third one I think it was the third one. We had the breakout from the prison. The swordsman got to, Daredevil threw him one of his sticks, and the swordsman used that one. That was awesome. And then we're getting the niece of the vigilante who had like the White Panther or whatever, the White Cat thing, and she's picked up his mantle and got the relic that actually apparently gives them actual powers. So she's got those powers now when she's wearing that thing. So that's pretty cool that she's taking up her uncle's, I believe it was her uncle's, footsteps. And Karen's a little badass, and to the point where it's actually making Matt a little uncomfortable, where she's just, willy-nilly shooting guys. He doesn't like that. But she is taking care of herself, and actually, is fighting. She's not just writing about things like she did in season 1 or in the Netflix series. She's taking it to the streets too. I think that's pretty cool. It is part of the show is I'm a little annoyed because they, the the trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day spoiled the end of Daredevil this season that we're watching. And I won't repeat the spoiler here in case you don't want to be, listeners don't want to be spoiled on it. But it does tell us certain things have happened or will happen by the end of the season. So in that sense, I'm not on the edge of my seat about those things because I know they're going to happen, but it still is interesting to watch everything play out in this town. And personally, I'm sitting here actually just waiting for Punisher to return. He was in prison at the end of the last season. He broke out, and we haven't heard from him since. And we've had is Karen make a couple of references to him, to Frank, and still haven't heard anything. So if she made a reference to him, which she did, he's going to have to make an appearance at some point. So I'm sitting here just anticipating that.
Yeah, for me, as folks might remember, I really was disappointed in season 1 of this revival, if you will, Born Again. So this season is definitely much better. It's got the issues you both have pointed out. It's a little roller coastery, lots of talking, lots of, I won't say boring bits, but, bits that aren't all that entertaining or interesting. And then you got some cool fight scenes, or you got some big showdowns or some big character moments. So there is good stuff here. So we've got an 8-episode season with 3 episodes in. So we're kind of closing them to the middle of the season. Brent mentioned Punisher. We've also got Jessica Jones. So there's some very interesting characters that hopefully are going to become part of this mix as we start to deal with Fisk and some other things going on. So yeah, enjoying it more definitely than season 1, but it's not like it's all grabbing me. Week to week, like, ooh, Daredevil's available. It still needs to come up a little bit because I know it can with these characters and these actors and so forth. So, yeah, hopefully it's not too much of the Netflix, stretch it out a little too much. But like I said, we've only got 5 episodes left in the season now. We've got some big name characters that we know are supposed to be coming in. So, hopefully we're on the edge of getting some really cool stuff.
Yeah, and I hope that they do something interesting with, I'm going to forget the guy's name. Poindexter is the character, the guy
Bullseye.
Bullseye. That gives me a reason to be interested in him. We're not quite there yet. It's sort of that we see hints, but I want more than hints. So, especially if they are bringing, and we know, well, supposedly we're going to see Jessica Jones, and I think Luke Cage as well. And I hope that they get something meaty to do as part of the story. Okay, well, with that, I think we are going to wrap up this rather meaty episode. We appreciate you all for listening. We'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts. We encourage you to check out Discord and see what others are talking about as well. And we will see you again soon.
Catch you next time.
Have a great week, everybody.
If you'd like to contact Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, we offer a variety of feedback options, including email at feedback@tuningintoscifitv.com, voicemail at 706-927-8478, Skype voicemail at Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, or you can visit our website at tuningintoscifitv.com and use the SpeakPipe app or our forums. And finally, you can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/tuningintosci-fi or on Facebook at facebook.com/tuningintosci-fi TV. The theme music for Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV is by Beatnik Turtle, used with permission. You've been listening to Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, episode 687, recorded April 5th, 2026.